Well, hello, and welcome back to the gaming podcast, part of this season's DigiPride 2024. As usual, I'm your host, Mia Byte, as we dive into all manner of the most curiously captivating queer conversations on the web. Oh my goodness. Yes, I'm by myself today, but not for long. We're going to be talking to some really amazing people. But before we get into that, I have to remind you that this season of the podcast is tied in with our annual DigiPride celebrations. And this year, DigiPride is presented by Giamma Games and sponsored by Devolver Digital and Wizards of the Coast. Such a mouthful, but such wonderful people. Right, to find out what's in store across the rest of DigiPride, head on over to gamingmag.com/DigiPride. Now, the Gaming Awards is this Tuesday. It's back this Tuesday at 11 a.m. PT, 2 p.m. ET, and 7 p.m. UK here on Twitch. It's going to be on Gaming's TikTok and across IGN2, which is very, very exciting for all of us here at Gaming, so make sure you tune in for that. And of course, one of the big features of the night is the recognition of our LGBTQ streamer rising star class of 2024. Now, we did reveal the class earlier this month on Gaming, so I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by the class right now. Please welcome them all.
Hello.
Little by little.
Hi, beauties.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for all taking the time today, and congratulations on being our streamer rising class of 2024. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So exciting.
Thank you for having us, Mia.
It's so good to have such a wonderful group of people joining me. But for those in chat that might not necessarily know them already, let's kick off by you giving them a quick overview of who you are and where people can find your content and exactly like what it is that you do. So let's move down the line. Let's start with Devo here.
Hello, my demons. My name is Devoglaer. You can also call me Devo. As I understand, Devoglaer may be a little hard to pronounce. I'm a queer, horror, and variety streamer. You can catch me on Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the Underworld, the Ouija board, everywhere. It's all Devoglaer all the time.
Mm-hmm. And serving up such a fantastic look today as well.
Oh, thank you. The human vessel that I possessed allowed me a little more time in the bathroom today. He said, all right, I guess you can have it if you want. So I took advantage. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. And of course, we're also joined by PearlTeese. Tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, beauties. My name is PearlTeese, but you can call me Pearl. I am a mental health advocate by day, showgirl by night, and a streamer and gamer all moments in between. But that's kind of changing a little bit now. I feel like I'm more of a streamer at night and a showgirl all moments in between. I'm here for it, though. I have been here for a little bit in my little jewelry box. We stream all kinds of things from FPSs, battle royales, horror games, scary games, sandbox games, all the games, really. But my chat might try to lie to you and tell you I'm a just chatting streamer, but do not believe them. Lies, all of it.
We love the chatting. We absolutely love the chatting, especially here on the podcast too. And that's over at twitch.tv/PearlTeese, or is there anything else with that?
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Awesome. And we're also joined by SimplyAretha today. How are you? Tell everybody about yourself.
I'm doing good. I'm really excited about today. So many things are happening. It is not only is it Pride, but it's actually Indigenous Peoples History Month in Canada. Mm-hmm. It was Indigenous Peoples Day on Friday, which is June 21st. It happens every year, and so I'm also celebrating being Indigenous as well. So I'm an Indigenous filmmaker. I'm also a content creator and a streamer. I do play a variety of games, but I play a lot of Dead by Daylight. It's kind of like my go-to relaxing game, surprisingly. But sometimes I do just chatting. Sometimes I will do like first-person shooter games like Valorant and Fortnite. And sometimes I'll just do cozy games like Stardew. Like, I'm all over the map. I'm basically like whatever I kind of want to do at this moment. So yeah. But I'm also a filmmaker. I make films. I've made documentaries. I own a production company. I've done that for about 11 years. And I'm also program director for an Indigenous film festival that is Canada's oldest running film festival.
Oh my goodness, so many hats. That's so cool. I love that. I love that. And of course, you mentioned something there like playing Dead by Daylight to relax. I can't imagine ever doing that because when I put on that game, like I'm constantly just running away screaming. So yeah, but wonderful to have you on the podcast. And of course, I should have asked about pronunciation before I started. But we have the lovely, is it Sukar Baba or is it? Yeah, did I say that correctly?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Sukar Baba, but if you can't say Sukar, Baba is also good.
Okay.
Sukar Baba literally just means sugar daddy in Arabic.
I love
So
that so much.
Sukar
Yeah.
Baba.
Tell
Okay.
everybody about yourself and what it is you do. We're glad to have you here.
By day, I'm a designer and lecturer. And then by night, I mean, I call myself a drag king and I am a drag king, but most of the time I'm out of drag on Twitch because I want to take care of my skin. However, I love drag. Most of the time we're streaming variety with an emphasis on horror, but really we're just here to meme. I'm really just here to be silly and hang out with people. And I'm really excited to be here. Yeah, that's all I got for you right now.
No, that's absolutely fine. Listen, I see there's like a recurring theme here that horror seems to be key to everybody that's here, and I kind of love that. And there's something about the queer community and just like that love of horror that like kind of brings us all together. So glad to see it in all of our rising stars. Now, as you noticed, we're sadly missing the fifth member of the class today, Sinarin, as she's on another time zone from us in Indonesia, but she did send us a message, so we're going to check that out right now.
Hi everyone, I'm Sinarin, and I am part of the Rising Star class of 2024 hosted by the Gayming Awards. To be recognized for such a prestigious award is an honor that I uphold. Sadly, I can't join this live since it is at 3 a.m. in my time, but I wanted to talk to you more about myself and what this award means to me. As a queer person in Indonesia, I'm often worried about being so open about my journey and my identities on stream. My streaming space is where I allow myself to let go and be wholly me, an aspect of myself I often must hide to seem normal, quote unquote. What's sad is that I know this story is not unique to me. Although times are changing for the better, one's sexuality is still a taboo topic in most parts of Indonesia, often followed by immense prejudice and the need to conform. Regardless, I stream because of my desire to shout out our existence, that we lived and we laughed and we loved, and most importantly, we exist, despite all the odds. And I hope by sharing my joy, we inspire many others to step up and be proud of who they are. To my fellow Rising Star class members, I want you to know that you're an inspiration to us all. I hope you continue to share your stories and inspire others to keep living. To the Gayming Awards, thank you. To be recognized by an international organization for my work feels like a stamp of validation for all the effort that I've put in over the years. I will continue to strive to make my streams a space for everyone to feel comfortable being their most true, authentic selves. And finally, to my wonderful community. Without your support, I wouldn't be the brave person I am today. Once more, thank you so much. This has been Sinarin, and I will see you around in this vast world of the internet.
Oh my goodness.
So
what a
Wow.
wonderful message. I'm like,
so good.
I didn't realize like just how powerful that was going to be too, talking like just about just existing as a queer person in Indonesia. So massive thanks to Sinarin for sending that in, and I'm so sad that they can't be here to join us to like chat about all the things that we're going to be getting into, but I'm at least grateful that we can feature them in that way. But there'll be more opportunities to come in the future, no doubt. And I'm sure you all have been getting to know each other as well, which has probably been a lot of fun for you all. Let's get to know you all a little bit better, actually, and jump in to the conversation, because this is all based around you today, our Rising Star class. Absolutely. Right, so we're going to get to know all your big wide world of queer streaming, and let everybody else jump in and pick away at the inside of your minds. I could have probably chosen my wording a little bit better there, but you know what? Let's just start this. Let's kick this off. I actually want to know, obviously, this is a bit of a standard question. Pretty much, you're going to find this everywhere you go. But, we're going to do the same thing. How did you all get into streaming? How did you all get into content creation? What drove you to be a part of this industry? And we'll do this in the reverse order. So, Baba, let's start with you.
So I have a quirky, I think, journey to streaming, because initially I was on TikTok live like over 2 years ago, dressed up as like Charlie Swan, that's Bella's dad from Twilight. And I would do like these like weird live reacts to the movie, and then I started reading like fan fiction, like Twilight fan fiction, usually like, Jacob and Edward or Bella and Alice. And I would do that on TikTok. And it was a good time. It was a really good time, but TikTok did not like that. So I got banned a lot. So Twitch actually kind of stemmed from me getting banned a lot. But I loved gaming and I grew up gaming. So I was like, what if I just played some games sometimes? Now I don't read fan fiction as much anymore, or at all, really, but I would love to. But I don't think the audience on Twitch likes that either. But luckily, I love gaming and chatting. But that's how that happened. But
honestly, listen, I would love to hear some fan fiction being read. Like that's something I want. Do those videos like still exist in any form?
Oh yeah,
anywhere?
They're there. If you go to my TikTok, it's all like I have like little highlights. And to be fair, it did get steamy sometimes. And I do have a redeem on my channel if you like really want it. Like I'll read DVD fan fiction. I love fan fiction. No one talks enough about fan fiction. That's my 2 cents. So that's how I started. So in a weird way, the community kind of predates the twitching. But yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great to know. I like, honestly, when it comes to fan fiction, I feel like I just enjoy bad fan fiction more so than anything else. Like if we can get some readings of some really bad fan fiction, I'll be all in. I'll be first in line at the queue. I'll be there. It's funny, like live show. Somebody do a live show where they're reading bad fan fiction. Again, I'll be right there.
That's
yeah, absolutely. Aretha, how about yourself? How did you get started?
I'm a filmmaker, so I usually had made films and content creation that way and done documentaries. So a lot of my films can actually be found on YouTube through my production company has a channel there, and that's usually where all my documentaries are. But during the pandemic, like I tell people all the time, I know it's very like they never believe me, but I'm like, but I actually have an anxiety disorder. So for me, like, I'm not a big fan of crowds. Like I'm very uncomfortable in crowds, but working in the film industry, that's not very great. So I found very like really good techniques for myself to push myself beyond my comfort zone and kind of keep telling that inner dialogue of myself, like, okay, I went out and did a networking thing. Did you die? No. Okay, I think we can do this again. So I kind of kept doing that to the point where I was comfortable. And then I came up with these tools to be like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to one person to make one friend. And then I'm going to build off there. And that's how I kind of got out into the world and started networking and doing all those things. And it was a lot of those tools. And then when the pandemic happened, it was like, stay home and don't talk to anyone. Listen, I will, sure. But I found myself kind of reverting back to my old ways. And like, even just going to the store, I was starting to get a lot of anxiety and like almost like panic attacks. So I remember that my brother actually made me join and create a Twitch account one time because he wanted me to use my Prime account to sub to his channel. And I'm like, yeah, I used to love doing that because growing up, I didn't actually play a lot of games. I had my own console, but I usually used to watch my brother because he would have all the games, all the consoles, all the things, but I wasn't allowed to touch anything. So so I just watched. So it's like, oh, I'll just watch. So while I was doing my work, I would like watch. And then eventually I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this. So I decided to, again, step out of my comfort zone and just try it. And so for me, it was a way for me to do that kind of networking and talking to people. And again, exercising that point of just stepping out of my comfort zone at the end of the stream going, did you die? No. Okay. I think we can do that again.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And just to pivot off that a little bit, how did you get into filmmaking? Because I'd love to know about that as well.
Yeah. Well, I actually was so I have a degree in communication and professional writing. And I was working for a film festival at the time. We were teaching Indigenous youth filmmaking. And at that time, a bunch of friends and I, there was an event coming to Canada because it was called the Truth Reconciliation Commission of Canada. And it was stopping in Edmonton. And we basically were teaching these youth how to do filmmaking and stuff. So we ended up kind of organically starting a production company, and we were teaching filmmaking to youth. And then that was the first film project I ever did. And then since then, I just kind of have been doing more and more documentaries. But I've always loved storytelling. I love writing. I also have a master's. I just finished my master's degree last year in
Congratulations.
communication and technology. And yeah, so for me, it was just about like being a storyteller, telling stories, and just watching and loving movies and television. I can talk about movies and television all day, and creating worlds that you can get lost in, and characters and all that stuff. So it was always something that I was doing other things, but I kept being pulled into the film industry just because I loved it and it was a passion of mine. So I stopped fighting it and just, started doing it.
Oh, we're gonna have so much to talk about, and then obviously you have so much to talk about on stream because of that. That's absolutely great. Yeah, Pearl. This is again double barrel question here. So, how did you get into content creation and and performing?
So, first, am I a little too far? I feel like just looking at all you beauties, I feel like I'm a little too far. Should I come up a little?
Listen, if it makes you feel more comfortable,
I
if it
would
gets
love
us closer
it.
to
I
your,
would
to
love
your
it if
beautiful
you're closer.
visage, hell
If you
yeah.
guys like this,
As
we'll do
close
this.
as possible, Pearl.
Yeah.
Please.
But to me only, please. Thank you.
So, I actually went to school for broadcasting, actually with an emphasis in video production, but I wasn't able to finish. However, I really fell. I fell into radio and had a couple podcasts, and this was after I had been performing for some time, because of who I am on stage. Like I was able to still continue to do kind of like what I wanted to do with some of my like hopes and dreams with creation in that way, or curation, and I have dysphoria around my voice. I had two different podcasts, and they both did incredibly. They both did incredibly. I had a co-host with both of them, but it became hard for me to just listen to my own podcasts, even though they were doing so great. And I eventually just stopped. And so generally, like I don't even like calling someone for the first time, just without them knowing what I look like. So I like to FaceTime. I'm a FaceTime girly.
Yeah.
And I prefer that usually when someone hears me for the first time, they see me also. So long story short, I found Twitch and was like, this is kind of, I can like podcast if I want to here, and they have to see me first with it. So it was like all of my, it fixed all of the issues I had with wanting to continue podcasting and curation. And I was already a showgirl, so I could just bring my stage persona to this. I don't know. They say that drag is like mixing, like getting all of your like art forms, everything that you can do when it comes to like makeup, dance, comedy, music, all of that. But I really feel like Twitch has been that for me. Like I could bring drag, video, podcasting, everything, all here. So that's kind of how I found my new home here.
I love that for you. Like it gave you an outlet to like obviously express yourself as well, and just to connect with so many people. Absolutely. And also your voice is absolutely lovely. But I get it.
So
I get
sweet.
it. Same here. I can't listen to any of these podcasts back. So yeah, absolutely. I get that. All right. Devo Hun, how about yourself? How did you get into content creation? And also, I kind of want to know about your love for makeup as well. What attracted you to making yourself up in such wonderful ways?
Well, thank you so much. So my journey into streaming has actually been, I feel like, a long time coming. Similar to, I think, Pearl and also to SimplyAretha, my background actually comes from television and film production. I went to school at the University of Texas for media production and media analysis. And then when I moved to Los Angeles, I started producing the show, The Boulay Brothers Dragula. I served as the supervising producer for seasons 1 through 5, Resurrection and Titans, and helped to create a global brand that I just felt very strongly about and very passionate about, saying it's okay that you're queer. You can also be weird. You can be a freak, and you're fabulous. And I recently, maybe a year ago, I decided that I wanted to take, quote unquote, my laser beam, which I call it, of I have this ability to, I focus my laser beam on projects, and as a producer, I make them grow. I make them explode. I create monsters. And I decided one day that I wanted to take that laser beam and focus it on myself. And I have always had a love of video games. I've always had a love of just being on stage as well. For those of you in the chat, my demons, you'll know I love to talk. I love to yap. So I have just always had this love of content creation and talking about the things that I love. And it's what I went to school for. And so I just decided one day, I said, you know what, actually, I think I'd like to try my hand at this. There are so many content creators that I love and I look up to. And streaming is such a space that I feel so strongly about, in the way that it really creates something special for queer folks to say, there are so many of us who not only are we queer folks, but we're also nerds, and video games are fantasy outlets. And as someone who has loved video games my entire life, I just said, you know what, let's go ahead and let's do this. And when it comes to makeup and just being a character, I love monsters. I've always had a love. And I think that as a queer person, we see ourselves in monsters sometimes, and it's about reclaiming those things. I say sometimes I'm like a mix of like Hades and Ursula from both Hercules and the Little Mermaid. And I think that there are so many amazing outlets for streamers and content creators, but the things that I normally gravitate towards are fantasy. And so sometimes I stream as my human self, but everything that I do is sort of wrapped up in this ritual summoning and this corrupted glitch demon. And of course, when I go to bed at night, the claws stay on for my partner. But I'm just a regular demon dad at heart.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I absolutely adore that, by the way. And you touched on something there, funnily enough, which was actually ties into our next question, which we'll stay on you, Devo, for this. But you have a nickname for your community, which,
Yes,
if
I
you
do.
remind everybody, where did that come from? And well, it seems a little bit obvious where that came from. But do you want to tell everybody about that and how that came to be?
Absolutely, I would love to. So first of all, I would love to shout out the Demon Brood. Hello, my demons. It is so fabulous to see you all here in the ritual summoning on another ritual. So I call my fans demons, and it feels weird to call them fans. I really do believe that a community is more than that. And of course, everyone rallies together and we're watching the same content and we're playing video games, but I really do believe that we are a family. I have sort of become the demon father to this brood, and it's something that I take very seriously. I did not anticipate that I would have that title when I first started streaming. I had created this character and this demon, but through streaming I have found that we all here, and I think that everyone will probably feel the same way, we all have an incredible platform and incredible voices to make positive change for not only our communities, but also for the world at large. I mean, we're all rising stars, but we're all still growing. But if we can make a difference in one person's life in our communities and make them feel loved and accepted, and truly, one of the things that I always say is I am about radical self-love. I'm Narcissus. I love myself. And I tell my community, I'm like, you should look yourself in the mirror, in the eyes, and say, I love you so much. And truly, when I came up with the demon aspect, it was a little bit of, I had my human life, I had my production background, and I said, I'm going to make a deal with the devil. I'm going to say, let's just do away with all of that. Let's summon the demon and let's just let it rip. And so here we are with my demon brood, who I just adore.
Oh my goodness, that was very in depth for starters, and I love just like
Ooh,
the
we
amount of
love
energy that
lore.
and lore that you bring. It's absolutely fantastic. And of course, for the rest of our wonderful Rising Star class, do you all have nicknames for your community? Because you're also incredibly passionate about your people, obviously, and bringing people together. Does anybody have a specific nickname that they use?
I do. I
Girl,
do.
why'd you say it like that?
Because I just don't want to be the. It looks like you do too. I don't want to step on
No, we
anyone's toes
please
here.
please talk about the jewelry box, please. Talk about the diamonds.
So my stream is called The Jewelry Box. We are in the jewelry box, and my friends are my gems. Everyone is a gem, and amongst the gems, we do have highlighted diamonds. Once a month, we have a special show called Diamonds and Pearl, where we highlight one of the gems that are in our chat, and they are our diamond of the season. And they stay a diamond for the rest of their time with us.
I absolutely love that. I love like picking out a member of your community and then just having time with them to share and just diving deep on conversations with them.
Yeah.
And can I say the production design on that as well? Absolutely fantastic with the
Thank
gold
you.
gilded. Mm-hmm.
Thank you
Very.
so much.
I mean, I feel like it matches you to a T. So yeah, it's very good. It's very good.
Love a little gold, honey. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And Baba, you said you also have your
Oh,
potentially
well,
have a nickname.
yeah, well, I do. I do. I was also just excited because I myself exist in the jewelry box. So that was that. But it's two things, okay? It's either sometimes Sukar babies, okay? Because I'm Baba, they're my babies. And I mean it even in like the literal sense because everything I do in my life, I think I have unintentionally adopted like a paternal role. I really do. And it's probably my daddy issues, you know, and like so I need to be the daddy of my dreams. That really the father. Really, it's not even really daddy, it's really
Yes.
dad. I really am just dad, but y'all are into that too. Y'all are just into dad. You know, the sunscreen, the like, you know, are you gonna get cold? You know, like very like Sukar Baba also in the just sweet father figure sense. But if we're being fun, then they're also Baba's Habibis, okay? And everyone knows Habibi. That's like everyone's favorite like Arabic word. Habibi literally just means beloved. So you can call anyone in your life Habibi, you know. And it really, I love claiming it because it's also one of my favorite Arabic words. So all of you are my Habibis, okay? Or the correct plural is Habibi, but you know, for now we can just make it Arabic English, okay?
Got you.
But yeah.
Absolutely. I love how you literally saw that situation became the Thanos meme of fine, I'll do it myself. I'll be the daddy. I love that. Aretha, do you have a nickname you use for your community?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was trying to think of a name because I was like asking people, and I'm like, all of my like film, like all of my channel and everything like centers around film. So like I have so I call them the Cinemates. There is another word, but it just sounded like a word that I didn't want to be near. So I was like, I'm gonna call it Cinemates instead, not the other word. Because I was like, I don't know. It's too close to a word I don't want to be near or whatsoever. So,
yeah.
I can fill in the blanks there, yeah.
Right? Yeah. I'm like, because I was looking it up and I was like, no. And then just reminded me of like an IT skit about a character. But yeah, so I call them Cinemates, and I also have a thing where, you know, when you check into my stream, you can redeem a golden ticket, and then at the end of the month, the top 5 people with the golden tickets get entered into a draw, and I give away a free gift sub. And they all become VIPs as well. Anyone who's top 5 has a golden ticket. So yeah, so I have all film related things for my channel.
Oh, I absolutely love how for each of your communities how much the nickname makes so much sense when you put it in place compared to like what you actually do and the what you surround yourself with. Let's change focus a little bit and talk. Of course, you're all part of this year's Rising Star class. So, what was that like when you Well, I actually don't know how you found out. So do you want to talk about how you found out and how you felt when you found out you were part of the Rising Star class? Anybody can jump in on this.
We
Oh
all
my
got a very
God.
cryptic email. And it was
Very,
like,
yeah,
don't
very.
open, secret, shut
It's
up.
a very cryptic email. Okay, cool.
And I was like,
Yeah, I remember seeing the email and I was just like, is there any way to fact check this? Like, is this real? Like, I don't think this is real. Like, how do they, like, do they know? They don't know. They don't, me? They don't know. And I literally looked, like, I had to, like, I was looking and I was like, okay, there's a Discord. Maybe this is real. I think this is real. I was just so gagged, goops, gathered, because I remember watching the Gaming Awards last year and seeing the Rising Star class, and I literally thought, oh my God, like, how do you become one of them? And I honestly immediately like went to the website and was like looking to see like, is there like an application? Is there like, do people vote for you? Like, what is this? And I couldn't find anything. And I was just like, oh, well, okay, well, I'll be tuning in next year, I guess.
Technically, you all are like nominated by your peers, so I'm pretty sure it's people within the content creation space who have specifically handpicked you. Your names came out so often that it was our wonderful gaming ambassadors handpicked you all to be the next generation of the Rising Star class. But yeah, for the rest of you, how did you feel when you found out you were a Rising Star?
So one of my dear friends who I actually co-own a Discord with, because I think everyone and their dog has a Discord. So I was like, so I reached out to a few friends and I was like, listen, let's not create one more Discord. Let's jointly create a Discord. So we have a joint one, and it's co-owned by one of my dear friends, Coder Girl Chan, who was the first year of the Rising Star and is a gaming ambassador. So I actually noticed that the gaming accounts followed me everywhere. And the first thing I did was I went into our chat and was like, what is happening here? And I was like, Chanel, what is happening here? Why is this happening? And she didn't say anything. She just said, I don't know. They're just following you, I guess. I mean, why wouldn't they? And I'm like, okay, sure, okay. And then I got the email and I'm like, you knew. I knew it was you. And she was like, well, I wasn't supposed to say anything. And she was like,
we may have to rethink that for next year now. Now that you brought that up, that is a bit of a giveaway. Absolutely.
Like,
we'll probably
all on
have
the
to
same day.
Yeah.
All on the same day.
We'll probably have to hide that just by following a load of random
people.
accounts at the same time. Just like put false positives in there. Like that's great. But so that was just general like surprise, disbelief. How did you feel about it?
Well, I was confused because I'm like, why? Like, because it literally happened like over like it was in one day, and over like a short period of time, all my accounts were followed. And I was like, huh, what is happening? But then when I got the email, again, like I said,
Could I just ask how long between the two was that, between the follows and the email?
To be honest, it was probably like a good week. Like,
oh
it
my
was
God.
It was a week before, and then that happened, and then the email. So when the email came, I already knew. I'm like, oh, okay, I know what's happening now. I know what's happening now.
Completely ruined that surprise. Okay, cool. All right, but Baba, how about yourself? How did you feel when you found out you were a Rising Star, and did the follows give it away?
No, it wasn't even the follow, because technically I think gaming had already been following me, maybe, but when I looked at the email, I think the giveaway was Deer. I had a feeling. I was like, hold on. And then I like DM'd Deer and I was like, did you? Hey. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, well, and it was, I was really, I was taken aback. I was very emotional because I have felt like in a space like this, the broader LGBTQIA plus, I should say the gay community on Twitch it can be very specific, and it's not necessarily inclusive. And so I've already been on this platform for 2 years, and I had already kind of had the sense that like, okay, I don't for whatever reason, you know, you know, like I knew who I appealed to and I knew who I did. So I was like, it was really affirming to be like, oh, whoa, you want to put me on like that? You want to support me like that? That's really nice. And it felt, and the first thing I did once we got in the Discord was I DM'd Pearl and I was like, oh, can you believe us?
Right. So I was like, this is real.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a scam. And then, you know, and I was like,
Fully.
oh, cool. And that's actually something that I really, even though this isn't a part of the question, I really appreciate about this whole rising class is I think we're all like, it's entirely BIPOC, and we all exist within like these marginalized space, at least outside, even within like our own spaces. So it's like kind of cool to be put on, you know? So for me, that was like the biggest feeling was like, you know what? Yeah. And then I cried a little. I did cry a little. I cried. I didn't tell anyone else.
Aww.
I did cry just a little bit.
Yeah.
I cried a little bit.
Absolutely warranted. Absolutely. And Devo, what about yourself? When you found out you were a rising star, what was that? What was that like?
I feel like everyone has sort of already given me all the stages of grief. I feel like we've gone through all of them already. But no,
now you're at acceptance.
Exactly. No, but a part of me wants to say deserved, but no, actually, I think that's how we all should feel. Like I look around at all the talent and I'm like, absolutely. But similarly, when I found out, I was really shocked. I was surprised, and I was immediately filled with gratitude. I have not been streaming for very long. I just started officially streaming in September of last year. And being an Asian American who is also looks like this half the time, I just sort of expected a little bit of pushback, especially from sort of communities where it's a little hard to break into sometimes. And I also feel sometimes that I don't want to step on anyone's toes. You know, I never want to be the person who's like, hey, let me come in here. And so I try to just sort of stay in my own lane and do those things. But when I found out that it was also selected by the gaming ambassadors, it was a really affirming moment where I just thought, okay, you know what? Actually, I love doing this. I love doing this. I've put so much effort, and just like I said, I've focused this laser beam really hard, and I have sort of poured everything into it. I've taken this leap of faith, and it's being recognized. And I was and am so grateful to be a part of this class. And then when I found out who the other rising stars were, I was like, oh my God, I mean, double down, double deal, whatever you want to call it. Like, you know, sign my name on the Ouija board again. This is amazing. Like this rising star class is so special. And, you know, just appearing in other people's chats and just sort of the small conversations we've had, I've been like, wow, is this as queer people we get to choose our family? Like, is that what we're talking about? Okay, got it. So
Yeah.
just gratitude, honestly.
Well, I will reiterate that you all obviously deserve this. That like no dark rituals required. This was definitely based on the amount of effort and work that you all have put in. And
I don't know. I lit a couple of candles. I mean, point blank period.
Like, for fun, you know what I mean?
And listen, these float with dark magic. It is not fishing wire and batteries. Let me tell you what, honey.
Oh my goodness, I'm loving the energy in the room right now, and maybe we can manifest some more good feels going forward. We'll have our own little ritual here. But let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about, obviously, you're all LGBTQI plus streamers, because that's kind of like a prerequisite to be part of the class. I want to know from you why you think it's important to... Somebody's just like, wait, what? I'm in the wrong place.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
Wait.
Aretha, Sukar Baba. The four of us need to chat. I don't know. I thought this was a Denny's and we were just hanging out. Like, I'm in confusion. Like, whoa, okay. Sorry. Continue.
No, that's absolutely fine. So, as LGBTQ people, why do you think it's important to be a visible LGBTQI plus person on stream? Obviously, the answers are pretty obvious, but for those people out there that don't necessarily see it or think about that, what would you say to them? Why do you think it's important to be visible? Anybody can jump in on this.
I mean, if I go in, I'm gonna go in
Go
because
in.
yeah,
Go
like
in, Sukar
Let him have
Mama.
it, girl. Let him have it.
well, like
Go ahead.
I guess starting with the L, right?
Mhm.
Specifically, I think it's important. Also, it's one thing to be kind of visible, especially on Twitch, as like being like a cis het gay man, especially like a white gay man. And I think, especially when we see Twitch for what it is as a platform, it is like a gaming has never been marketed towards like certain demographics. And so even when
Yep.
we do have like these queer pockets, oftentimes they're not really queer. So for me, it's important to be like to identify and be visibly lesbian, a drag king, because also like drag is not always also inclusive, and then thirdly also as like an Arab, because I think I also have to kind of constantly combat pink washing, because there is this like notion that queerness in itself is like a Western concept, that like oh, like you're inherently like queer, like if you're kind of from the global South, automatically, regardless of our politics or conservative societies, we still exist, and queerness
Yeah.
in itself is not like a Western concept, and thus we exist, and we exist at this intersection. So for me, it's kind of important to embody those specific intersections. It's not just, oh, like I'm here and I'm gay. It's like, no, I'm a lesbian politically. I do not center men in my life, and I think there's also power to that, being like a femme presenting person on Twitch. Yeah, I don't like, that's, it's spicy, but it's true. So that's why I think it's important to be visibly queer, but also within specific intersections. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
No,
that.
I think you're like that. I'm obviously doing a fantastic job because, like, again, as you mentioned, there's so much erasure when it comes to Arabs and queerness, and you're just doing a great job at being again, just being such a positive representation and just saying, hey, we do exist, we're out here, and you know, considering the amount of people that are spouting out BS recently, it's worth it's yeah, it's definitely
It's
worth it.
yeah, it's like this kind, I think it applies to any marginalized people. Like queerness has always been seen as like this like kind of white thing, you know what I'm saying? And thus like we can only exist in these spaces. But I think it's just, I don't know, especially on like a platform like Twitch that's also apolitical. I mean, we even see the discourse that's happened in the last week. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Is like, I don't think we're wanted here. And so I think it's important to be like, well, we're here regardless.
I mean, like, obviously, some of the largest creators are cishet straight white males on this platform. So the things that that they say tend to be taken as the standard, right?
Yeah.
And it's so important that we constantly speak out and show, we are here, and your preconceived notions are exceptional BS, for lack of better terms for that. What about yourself, Aretha? Like, what about you? Why do you think it's so important to be visible?
For sure. I mean, like for myself, like so I'm indigenous as well, and I think from I did a whole docu-series with Edmonton Two-Spirit Society, and we talked about the history of how colonization actually erased our own identities. And even within the Cree people themselves, like we have 8 genders. We have multiple things, and these are things that were erased and destroyed through colonization. We had sacred bundles. This is a sacred role to be Two-Spirit. And everyone, no matter of their gender, like has basically a role that they play in society. So there's no one here that's like, oh, you don't have a place here. No, everyone has a role and a duty to the community. And that's how we see everyone when they come to our communities. And so for myself, I identified as demisexual for a long time, but it was only when someone kept saying to me, oh yeah, because she's asexual, she's asexual. And I was like, I was like, to me, even my own misconception of what that meant, that I'm like, I don't know what. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to look what this is, because they seem to know something about myself that I don't seem to know. So I started researching. I'm like, oh, shoot, I am asexual. And I was like, oh, yeah. But I had such a skewed idea of what that meant that I was like, I don't know if I completely fit in that. But once I understood of like the actual broad scope of what it actually meant, I was like, oh, yeah, no, That is true. And in fact, I've always been that way. I just didn't know the language and the term to say what it meant. And so I think that's why it's so important for visibility of every one of the identities to be, highlighted and shown and represented, because there's going to be that person out there who's like myself who doesn't actually know what that meant. And then when they do, they're like, oh, I get it now. Because I kept trying to fit myself into a society where I felt like I needed to have these things. I should want these things. I should want to do these things. And I really didn't. I never did. I just never had any desire for it. But I kind of tried to convince myself that maybe something was wrong with me, when I realized, no, I wasn't, nothing was wrong with me. This is just who I am. And this is the language to describe myself. And so I feel like once we have that representation of those people who are willing to say that and, explore those identities in yourself, then it gives other people permission to do the same. So I think it's just so important.
Absolutely. Like, as a demi person myself, it's like so you see how we're consistently, I guess it feels kind of like we're forgotten about sometimes. So yeah, it's good to just say, like, again, we're here and teaching people what that means. Pearl, what do you think it's important to be visible as an LGBTQ person?
There's
online?
so many things that, like, I feel like I have a lot to say about it. Not only are we here, but a lot of times, and most times, and almost every time, we're better. And if you have a problem with it, then go fight with somebody about it, because it's not going to be me.
Yes.
Fight me.
But better. I think about, like, the people that are in, like, my community, in my chat. There have been so many people who have reached out to me off stream who are not able to be authentically themselves when they're away from the computer. And I can't imagine, that, and I also can't imagine not having a place to go where I can feel seen and heard and appreciated for who I am. And that's why visibility is important to me. I think, like, I can think about here on Twitch, I can count the amount of Black trans women that I know of on one finger, let alone the Black trans women who use cams. And I think I think out of all of them, maybe one is kind of, like, sort of mainstream out of the few that there are. And I think that we, like I said, better. So we should exist here too. And it doesn't belong to just one group of people. And, I think with it's just really sad with the work that Black trans women have done historically. It's just so sad to see that we're not represented everywhere. So if I can do anything about that, I'm going to.
I love that. Like, let people being that lantern in the darkness, and letting people find each other, and then being that representation that you wanted to see yourself, that you were withheld potentially when you were younger as well. So that's wonderful. Devo, what about yourself? What is the importance to you of being visibly queer, LGBTQ, while streaming or online?
Of course. I have two answers. One is sort of the general answer, and then the other, I think, is a little more personal. From a general perspective, I think that the reasons why visibility and representation matter are they're innumerable. It's just important for not only young queer people, but also queer people of all generations, and also people who do not identify as queer, to see queer people living their true, authentic, proud selves in all manner of media. It's just, the importance, I think, can't be minimized, because when we do not see ourselves represented on these platforms, it sends a signal that we are not wanted. And so we are, for lack of a better term, we are trailblazing. We are out there. And of course, we're behind cameras and these things, but we're doing what we can to say, no. Queer people, intersectionally queer people, BIPOC people, we exist. We exist. We're here. As Pearl said, we're better. And we're not going anywhere. We've been here since the dawn of time. We're here in every culture and every civilization. Don't get it twisted. We will never go away. And I promise we will always be a threat to whatever weird, rigid ideology you have. And that sort of goes into my personal feelings on it, which are that, and I don't want to come from a place of anger, but when I grew up, I very much identified with the sentiment of I'm not gay as in happy, I am queer as in screw you. I was very mad. I was an extremely angry person because I felt as though I was entering into a world where I was not wanted. And so as a result of that, it made me very angry at the world that I was entering into as an adult. And over time, I realized that if I carried that anger with me, it wouldn't serve me. And so what would be better is if I could show that queer people can be visible and happy and thriving and doing the things they want, then maybe we can show that to other people who may be struggling with those feelings. And of course, I still very much am the, sometimes a brick is the best way to get things done kind of queer person. But I do think that for myself as well, when I see myself and other queer creators, I always remember the importance of intersectionality and being a young queer person who was always too Asian for the white kids and too white for the Asian kids and never really fitting in either of those spaces. And then on top of that,
yes,
100%. And then on top of that, I mean, it truly did not help that, sorry, it wasn't a phase, mom. I'm an adult goth. I've always been a weirdo. I've got my hot cash from Hot Topic from 2004. Like it just never went away. And to sort of be disconnected from mainstream queer society because of the things I was into or because of the things that I like, that pain and that anger fueled a lot of my early life. But now getting to say, wait a minute, let's change the narrative. Let's spread some positivity. And of course, maybe we can spread a little darkness along the way because hello. But I just think it's important. I think that for all of us here, we are really pushing the boundaries of what it means to be visibly queer and to live proudly. And I'm just proud of you all. And I love you so much. I love this Rising Star class. Oh my God.
Absolutely. You're all fantastic, obviously. So we are running a little short on time, so we're going to keep the next question brief, I've been told from the higher ups. So what one piece of advice you feel has helped you get to where you are today? Or like, if you can't think of something, what advice would you want to pass on to somebody else to help them? Aretha, let's start with you.
I'll make this short and simple. Just go live. Like, you don't need the camera. You don't need all the other thing. Like, if you have a headphone that has a mic on it, like, go live. You don't have to show yourself. Like see if you actually like it first. Because the amount of people that like invest so much money and then they stream for like a month and they're like, wow, I spent a lot of money on that stuff. Like, seriously, just go live. Just go live.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Jump right in, go live. Love it. Baba, what about yourself?
I think this is a good one, and it applies honestly to anything you're doing, especially if you're like a creative person or you put a lot of what you do into what you make. You are not what you make, and you are not what you do. Make that boundary so clear, because the minute that you start to assess your value as a person, your value as a person based on what you do and what you make, you're going to be really upset. That's not where you get your value from. You're valuable regardless of what you do or what you make. So then that means that if you do go live or you do make something and it doesn't turn out the way that you want, you're still amazing, you're still beautiful, and you're still valuable. Make that distinction.
Absolutely. Like, I could have used that advice when I started. I swear to God. Yeah. But Pearl, what about yourself? What advice? Is there any advice you've gotten or advice you'd want to give to others?
I think the advice that I would give, and I think it works with like any aspect of your life, is to think about the decisions you make or what you're going to do with love in mind, not fear. Like, if there is anything that scares you, that's not what you should be thinking about when it comes to making a decision. Think about love first. Do you love it?
I love that.
Sure and sweet.
Appropriately. Devo, what any advice you've gotten or want to give?
Absolutely. Yes. Mine is a one-word answer, and this is something that I say to the demons all the time. It comes from my best friend and I, my best friend, their name is Onyx, they're a recording artist, and we have just always been there for each other. And the thing that we have always said to each other throughout our friendship is more. We're constantly pushing each other for more, and that's more in every single aspect of our lives. We deserve more rights. We deserve more visibility. We deserve more happiness. We deserve more love. Whatever it is that you need, you deserve more. And so literally I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll just text them more, and they'll say the same thing back. And demons, more.
Just that Star Wars meme of Kylo Ren screaming more.
Literally.
That's why I did the MOAR.
Yeah, 100% more.
Right, well, we do have one more question, but we're going to save that until after our final section here. Our final section, of course, is our show and tell section we like to call Show Me What You Got. We have... So, for those of you who are just tuning in or tuning in for the first time, our guests have brought in or sent us one item that holds some significance to them. So, we are gonna find out what's gonna happen today, because we're not exactly this is a bit clunky today, I've been told by the ever-changing script in front of me from the producers, and we're going to figure out this as we go along, apparently, but we have a very specific order we're doing this in. So we're going to start with you, Devo. Show me what you got. Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
I like what you got.
Oh, show me what you've got.
Into it.
So
Can we show this on Twitch? Are we allowed to show this?
It's just blur out that nipple.
There we go.
So the reason why I chose this is exactly. No, but so
Yeah, tell us.
what I wanted to show off was my tattoo. My tattoo is it's a boss from my favorite video game. Her name is Vicar Amelia. It's from a game called Bloodborne. We're still waiting for the Bloodborne remake or sequel, and we'll never get it, but it's fine. Go get the Elden Ring DLC. But the reason why I wanted to show this was this game changed my life after an truly the darkest period of my life. I had been through an extremely abusive relationship. I had tried to take my own life, and this game came to me at a time where I needed it. I truly needed this game, and it saved my life. And I wanted to show it because I think that video games have the capacity to change people's lives, change worlds, and you find that love and that compassion wherever you need it, even in a game that is soul-crushingly difficult and trying to hurt you at all times. You can find the strength to get through that. This tattoo reminds me every day that I am stronger than I think I am, and that I have the power to do what it is I want to do. Yeah, so there we go.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's wonderful. And sorry, I need to compose myself. It took me a moment to even realize there's a tattoo there. But, right. Let's let's move on to Aretha. So show me what you got. Oh my god! That is such a switch from the image before. But I love it for all different reasons.
This is my puppy. His name is Sir Didymus. I named him after one of my favorite movies, Labyrinth. And then I also have a senior dog in the back who's just hanging out. He's 14. His name is Harley. He actually wasn't my dog originally. He was my niece's dog. And it came to a point where he needed more medical attention stuff, and so I was like, just give me your dog. So he has a thyroid issue. He has water around his heart, so he has to take medication that pulls the water away from his heart. So he has multiple medications that he takes every day. Yeah, this is the puppy that I got last year. I had a dog prior to this. Her name was Puppy Ann, and I had her for 15 years, and she was my first dog. And when she passed away, I was so heartbroken. And I took a while for my heart to heal, but I remember my friend told me that, like, when I was ready, that my my previous dog would send me someone to love as much as her. So this dog I actually got from a friend who is a journalist, and she had actually bought this dog for her mother, who also lost her dog. And her mom was like, too soon. So she was like, I need to find a home for this dog. And I was like, that's exactly the type of dog I was looking for, because he's a Maltese Yorkie, so a Morkie. And so yeah, I was like, oh, this is perfect. I love this. So I got him at around like 8 months old. So he's probably about a little bit 1.5 now, and yeah, he's just so adorable and cute and just
So well groomed as well. Like,
I
oh my
know.
goodness.
He goes to the groomer all the time.
So cute.
So
I love
yeah,
it.
I just loved him.
Absolutely.
He's
Oh,
so good.
we do love the pets here on the gaming podcast. So cute. Next up, we have Pearl. So show
Oh.
me what you got.
Yep.
All
Yes.
of these silly costumes, and I chose this one. I chose this one because this was at TwitchCon last year. I've been a performer for like 15 years, and finding my love here on Twitch, like it was my first Twitch. It was my first TwitchCon. It was my first Twitch convention, and so it's my first time meeting a lot of my gems in real life. The showcase happens on Friday, which is usually the first day of the convention. So this was the first time a lot of my gems met me in person and was on stage. And it was just so magical because to have like this group of people that come and like spend their time with you, like for them to see you for the first time doing one of the things you love the most, or in your art and in what you do, it was just so magical and really set the tone for the rest of the convention for me. And it'll just be a moment that I will never forget. Will never forget.
Yeah, absolutely. I adore the outfit as well. It's so well put together.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I'm like, being up there on that TwitchCon stage, it does feel like a once in a lifetime moment,
Yeah.
and it's so meaningful. Just be, and especially being in front of an audience that size, absolutely killed it.
Incredible.
So yeah. All right, so we've of course got one more show and tell today. So Baba, show me what you got.
What do I got?
Oh.
It's more babies.
So one of these small babies made a guest appearance earlier in the background, I saw.
She's here right now, actually, and which is crazy because Nugget is actually the shy one. She's a lot of trauma. She has a lot of trauma. She's a little. She was found on a freeway, so she's it takes a lot. So it's crazy. She's literally right down here. I don't know if you guys can see her. And then of course everyone knows Peanut also goes by Peeny Weenie. I have to give all my animals like the most ridiculous, like the longest, silliest names. But yeah, I really loved what off cam backstage or not off live cam that it's good not to build like attachment into like material objects. And I was like, I don't know, it was just really beautiful. I really love being able to like be like, yeah, actually what means a lot to me is not something that is like material, but it's actually my little babies. I would murder for you. I would murder for you. I would. Yeah, just love these guys. They stop me from doing bad. Just they keep me in line. These two.
I love this photo as well. Like it's so well. I don't want to say choreographed, but it's like so well shot. Just like the composition is perfect for the two of them.
They hate hanging out together, so that's why I don't. Peanut looks so. I don't know. This is like not the most flat, but they're cute. They're cute.
I've just come to the realization that this portion of the podcast has been terrible for the audio listeners. But yeah, you know what? Come watch the video side because you're missing out on wonderful cattage and doggos. So yo. But yes, we're going to wrap up real quick. But I have one final question for you all, and that's what immediate plans do you all have for the future, and where can people find your content? We'll go down the line again. We'll start with Devo. What do you got coming up? Where can people find your content?
I have a couple of things coming up actually. I theme the backgrounds and all the visuals to my streams around seasons. I'm even though I'm not a battle pass girly, I do think that seasonal content is very, very fun. So I have a season content update coming at the end of July. That'll be the season of Spirit. It's going to be cult horror and religious sort of daytime Texas Chainsaw themed. I'm also releasing a zine with my analytical horror writings, BTS content from all the things that I do, as well as launching an ARG that is related to the lore of the stream. So if any of that sounds fun, fantastic, or interesting, you can catch me twitch.tv/Devoglaer. I'm also Devoglaer on all of my social media platforms and the Discord.
Oh my goodness! You say ARG, I'm right there. That's like so
Love
interesting.
an ARG.
Very exciting. Very
Thank you.
exciting. Pearl, what have you got coming up, and where can people find your content?
I have a lot of things coming up Pride-wise. I am performing here in San Francisco on the main stage this year, and then every year I'm one of the anchors on ABC7 News that hosts the parade. So you can catch me on ABC7 News on Sunday. Out on stream, the next thing I have coming up is Diamonds and Pearls anniversary. We just hit our 1 year this month, which is hard to believe. I remember just asking my chat if this is something that they would want to do. So yeah, that's coming up, and then we will hopefully at that point announce our next diamond of the season. And twitch.tv/PearlTeese, and I am PearlTeese on all of the socials.
Heck yes. Aretha, what about yourself? What have you got coming up, and where can people find that?
A million and one things. But I am SimplyAretha everywhere. On any platform, I always get my name right away. YouTube, I do have a SimplyAretha, but I do more vlogs there, and sometimes so it's SimplyAretha Gaming. So, but everything is connected. So if you go to SimplyAretha.com, it has all my links to all my channels, all my social media, everything. Actually, in about 2 hours, I will be hosting a Dead by Daylight tournament. So it's an Indigenous Dead by Daylight tournament. It's been very great. We've had a lot of support from Dead by Daylight when we've done these events, and so yeah. So this is so we'll be doing that in about 2 hours. So if you want to check it out and come back to my channel in about 2 hours, come over and say hi. We actually got sponsored by a couple people as well. 8th Generation and Avid products. They gave us some headphones to give away. 8th Generation gave us a blanket to give away, and then we had a lot of people from our communities give us a lot of like beaded earrings and stuff to just give away as a fundraiser. As we raise money for Dream Speakers Festival Society, which is Canada's oldest, longest running Indigenous film festival, and a charity in Canada. So we'll be raising money for that. And yeah, other than that, I just kind of stream and create film projects. And again, all my links are on SimplyAretha. So I am working on 2 film projects right now. So hopefully they'll be coming out sometime.
Excellent. Excellent. And of course, last but by no means least, the lovely, lovely Baba. What have you got coming up, and where can people find your content?
Well, aside from the gaming awards, two things. One, not actually on my channel, but I see Ignacio in the chat. IDC Ignacio. Me and Pearl are going to be on a Hots versus Hotties Hot Sauce Challenge Pride Edition with some other really legendary queers and drag performers on Twitch, and that's literally this Wednesday. And then this was supposed to be this weekend, and so, but I had some streaming issues, so it will be postponed. But I was planning, if you know my channel, I do a trucking simulator marathon. However, I wanted to do a fundraiser for a specific family in Gaza, so that will still be happening, and just hopefully in an additional 1 or 2 weeks. But you can find that on my channel. So that's twitch.tv/Sukar_Baba. And I'm Sukar.baby on all other platforms, which I'll also be posting about that in there if you want to find me. But it's going to be really awesome. And none of the money is obviously going to go to me. If it's not for specifically one family that I have in mind, then it can also be raised for eSIMs and also the municipality. So yeah, that's what I have planned.
Fantastic.
Thank
Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. Oh my goodness, this has been such an absolute pleasure getting to talk with each of you today. It's been so much fun, and thank you so much, our rising star class, for joining us today. I hope you had a good time.
Thank you so much for having us. It's been
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Pride season.
Yes. Oh, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So not just thank you, of course, but thank everybody else for watching and joining us on this episode of the Gaming Podcast. So you can make sure to follow the Gaming Mag channel here on Twitch and TikTok and YouTube, so you don't miss any other of our amazing shows. And of course, podcasts can be listened back at any time on all major podcast platforms. And if you're listening there right now, come on over to Twitch. Drop a follow. That's twitch.tv/gamingmag. And of course, I've got to say a massive thank you to our presenting partner, Jammer Games, and sponsors Devolver Digital and Wizards of the Coast. So, coming up Tuesday, it is the big one. The Gaming Awards air at 11 a.m. PT, 2 p.m. ET, and 7 p.m. UK time across IGN and all of gaming's channels. So we have a caption stream on our YouTube, and Angelo Gamer will be providing an official Spanish language co-stream on his TikTok. So be sure to check that out. That's going to be so cool. I love that. I didn't even know that was happening. I'm so happy that that's happening.
Yeah.
And of course, we're going to be seeing you Wednesday for a playthrough of the Crush House from Devolver Digital with Drag Trashly. That's going to be absolutely amazing too. But until then, don't forget to keep reading and watching Gaming Magazine, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. Happy Pride.
Bye.